But you see now on that side, well, first of all, there's no time. Time does not exist. We make up time in the physical realm. So people ask me, well, how long were you there? Honestly, I don't know. In the physical, it was a short time, but in the spiritual, it could have been a week or two, taking all that in, because there is no time. But the blade of grass is the creation of life and existence, and it's everything. And when you cross over, you start to accept the natural things that were given to us, not taken for granted, but how, and you feel the vibration of it. And that's important because everything in the physical realm, each and every one of us, whether we like it or we say it or we deny it, we take for granted. We do. It's just how we are as people. Mm-hmm. But when you cross your true essence of who you are, and why you came here to the physical realm, why you came and did a soul contract to experience the things you do, you'll get it all. And I tell people, when your life stage is complete, it's like your puzzle's put together. Some people say, well, what happens if someone dies at birth? Guess what? That was their puzzle. They had to just go and experience a certain thing. If they die at birth, or 1-year-old, or 2-year-old, or 100 years old, that was their design before they came to the physical realm. They just had to experience a couple more things on this journey before they go back home.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we are back at it again for another episode of Living Life Consciously. Thank you guys so much for being here. I have a very special guest lined up for you today, and we are stoked to get started. So without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Greetings, cosmic enthusiasts. I'm Justin. This is Living Life Consciously, where we explore the extraordinary, ride the waves of inspiration, and embark on an adventure of limitless curiosity together.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Leslie, also known as Light Being Love, an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. And I'm very happy to be here with Philip. Philip?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you. I like what you said there, having an experience. I like that because I use that a lot. That means a lot, those words.
Awesome. Good. We hold that near and dear to our heart, so let's make sure to touch up on that when we start the conversation. So for our audience, meet Phil, a gifted psychic medium, spiritual advisor, and paranormal investigator, as he takes us on a journey through his life from his Staten Island roots to his current home in Easton, Pennsylvania, where he lives with his wife and 4 boys. Discover how Phil's near-death experience revealed the true meaning of life and ignited his passion for helping others navigate their physical journeys with love and happiness. For over 30 years, Phil has been a guiding light for those seeking connection with the spiritual realm, offering wisdom on love, relationship, finances, and healing from loss and trauma. Don't miss this captivating conversation with a man who is not only a loving husband and father, but also the co-founder of the infamous Horsefly Chronicles World of Psychics and the haunted Horsefly Chronicles house. Can't wait to get into that. Phil, thank you so much for being with us today. How would you like to start?
Thank you for having me. I look forward. I watched some of your videos.
Oh, good. Which ones?
And I like what you're doing.
Thank you.
And the reason I share my near-death experience is because I want people to know that there is another side. This isn't it. This is not the end all. And there's so many questions that people have. Do we go on? Will I see loved ones again? Is it just me in the grave and it's over? No. You know, the near-death experience and what we learn and what we know in the culture that we live in, I will say this. Well, first and foremost, we're not alone in the universe. Books don't teach it, but we're not alone. There are higher intelligent beings that are more advanced, and we're kind of like the people that we're trying to get there, but they watch everything we do, so we don't actually cause our own demise on this planet.
Okay.
In 1981, I had a near-death experience. My mom had taken me to the dentist for a routine visit, Staten Island, New York. It was a beautiful day out. Dentist was like in walking distance. And I remember, I don't like the dentist. I don't know who does. And I'm just sitting there, and my mom and the dentist and the assistant, and then they were pulling up my teeth. They were cleaning it, but pulling something, one of their tools or whatever. And I pulled his arm away, and then he gave me sweet air, we used to call, which was nitrous oxide.
Okay.
And then
Laughing gas.
Laughing gas, yeah. And then he took it off, and I was still feeling the pain, like that pinch in the nerve of my gum. And he says to the assistant, okay, give him more, turn it up. So they put the mask back on me, and they turn it up. But when I was born with allergies to pretty much everything. Some things they knew, some things they didn't know, and this is one of them.
Oh.
And I get an allergic reaction to the nitrous oxide.
Oh.
About 30 to 40 seconds after the second dose, I felt myself levitating out of my body to the ceiling and then turning around and looking at everybody. Now, I think that I'm in this dream state. I'm like, hello, hello, can you see me? Can you see me? Hello? And then I pulled through the ceiling up into the sky, and everything's getting smaller, houses, buildings. And then I pulled into a tunnel. Out of nowhere opens up this magnificent tunnel. Now, again, this is the third eye, the spirit eye. This is not my physical body. The physical body's in that dentist chair being worked on.
Sure.
And I pulled really fast. And the tunnel is real. This is a real thing. This is an experience that it's hard to describe, but it's like you're going 1,000 miles an hour through like a hose, and you feel the vibration. You don't feel pain. You don't know exactly what's happening because it's a form of consciousness that's experiencing all this. And then I start to see a pinhole of light far, far away through the spirit eye. I was pulled slowly to it, and I started to hear melodies. And then my vibration, my soul was starting to feel soothing, very soothing. It opens up this tremendous, beautiful, magnificent sky that you feel warmth and love, and you feel like I'm home.
It sounds lovely.
And I was being pulled to the right side of me where I'm turning now, and I see these golden gates, beautiful gates, very, very large, tall and wide, and I'm going right through these gates into a garden. You know, people talk about the garden on the other side. Well, first, Phil Siracusa, call the other side home, which we can say is heaven, but it's home. It's home. Everything on the garden, everything. First, that you feel like you're back where you were before you came here into the physical realm. Okay. The second thing, everything's alive. Every tree and plant and leaf and flower and rose and piece of grass is vibrating with an energy that you can indulge. You could feel it.
Wow. So
now you're feeling the creation of existence of life, what life really is. And then I'm drifting. So some type of a magnetic force or field is pulling me, like a form of levitation. Like there's no walking now, but I do have a physical, from what I can gather, it's a physical body, a physical presence that I do have the outline with no pain, no hurt. Only thing that's coming through now is a form of harmony and acceptance and love. And then I'm being pulled through a field. Now, the one thing that sticks in my mind to this day, and I'm 56 years old, is the field. The field in heaven or home, however I label it, is second to none. And I talk about the field because, well, first of all, it goes on for immense. It doesn't end.
Okay.
Every blade of grass is perfect. Everything is filled with this energy of existence, and it feels like you just want to keep going through the field and running through the field with a spirit body, and it's just like you feel it. And we say, well, in the physical realm, it's just the field. No, but over there, it's the field of life. Okay. And this angelic being with no wings, she had blonde hair, crystal blue eyes, and the far, far distance of the right side was coming to me slower and closer and slower and closer. And she started to pull me towards her, again, like as a magnetic force. And I knew her, but I didn't know from where.
Okay. But there was like a recognition, in other words, right?
There was a recognition, and she was talking to me through a form of telepathy of, you'll be okay. I have to show you something. And I'm being pulled through the field, and then she drifts off to the left side where it's a park bench with two elderly people, and she goes away. And I didn't want her to leave because I felt with her, but she goes away. The two elderly people stand up and turn around, and it's my grandparents. Well, it's my grandmother who died earlier that year in 1981. So that would be January of 1981. And it would be my grandfather, who I never met because he was deceased before I was born. Now, my grandfather had on a top hat with a suit, and they both look, again, not physical realm, but spiritual realm. They look like a glowing 60s. And I think they would show me that age so I would recognize who they were, even though I never met my grandfather. I don't see pictures. Okay. And I said, Grandma, Grandpa. And I says, Grandpa. And he goes, hello, Sonny. It's so happy to see that I met the man, you know? Yeah. So to me, when he said, hello, Sonny, that vibration went right through me. And he turns to my grandmother. Now, my grandmother had the blue dress on that she was buried in. And he says, what's Philip doing here? And she points her finger and says, go back now. Why are you here? I'm like, Grandma, when you're on that side, first of all, let's put it this way. It's scary to die. But when you're on that side, you don't want to leave. Okay. You don't, there's no comparison. You just don't want to leave. Right. And I want to say, but she pointed her finger and says, go back. And I was like, Grandma, I felt I was like upset a little bit in my vibrations. And I went backwards through the field. Like I'm being pulled backwards. Okay. Through the garden. This is all a magnetic force. Okay. Right in the tunnel. And I'm going straight back into the tunnel. And people ask me what the tunnel was like. There's a part of that tunnel that you feel like you're never going to be found, heard, seen. In fact, it is a part of that tunnel when you're going through it, you don't even think you exist. It's complete darkness. It's a void.
Total absence of light, right?
Absence of everything. Okay. Yes. You feel like you don't exist. And you know, I get asked all the time, you know, sometimes, is there a darker side where for the bad spirits, I don't label everything because I'm not that man to judge. But I would say that if you're lost in that tunnel and you feel like you don't exist to anything, well, that might be the answer. And I'm being pulled backwards really fast and over a hospital ceiling. And I'm going right through the ceiling and I'm being worked on. Now I start to recognize everything here in the physical realm, what's happening to me. And I didn't want to go back. I was like, that's me, but I'm not going back. But when the other side says, you're going back, you're going back. And I was slipped in like you put a glove on your hand. And I'm breathing and gasping for air and gasping for air. And I come to, the first person I see, who of course I wanted to see, was my mother right there. And the doctor is working on me, and it was an allergic reaction that tripled off all the other medications I was taking because I was born with asthma. And so it shut me down from breathing. Oh. A couple days later, I went home. Now, don't forget, this is 1981. Now, I do come from a Catholic background, you know, my whole family. And I says, Mom, I was in heaven. I seen Grandma and Grandpa. And in 1981, there's no internet, right? Very few TV stations. It was dismissed as a hallucination or some kind of a dream state that I was in.
Okay. They probably thought it was just the anesthesia.
Yes. And I was like, no, but this was real. This was real. And I remember I had a lot of friends when I was 14 years old. I'm telling everybody, and my friends like, "Oh, Phil, it was a dream." And I was like, maybe it was a dream. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe everybody's right. It was a dream. But part of me thought it wasn't a dream.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that little piece of me like, well, I was, when you question things when you're a teenager, right? A year goes by. 1 year later, I'm in the backyard, my parents' home, Staten Island, New York, and I look up at the sky. And I look at this rose bush in the front yard because we had a fence, and I said, God, if I was really at your home, please give me a sign, because no one believes me. In fact, I don't know if I believe me anymore.
You started to doubt it yourself, right?
Yeah. So my mom says to my sisters and myself, hey, Phil, we're going to go for a long walk on the streets. Beautiful day out. I said, okay. Mm-hmm. So I go through the gate in the front yard. I was acknowledging the rose bush. And I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters, and we're walking down this long street. Beautiful day. My father's working in Manhattan, and I'm just taking in all the happiness of work. Just going for a walk with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I feel this about a half a block up. I feel a vibration to the right side of me, and I turn, and it's the girl from heaven. Now, I take a double look, and I, Mom, I'm shaking my mom in front of me. That's the girl I'm telling you about. And she turns up, I don't see anybody. And my brothers, they're a little bit ahead of us, and they look, what is he joking around and making this up? But that's the girl from heaven. But my older sister, Patricia, who was to the further right, says, I see her.
Oh,
and
really?
I see her. She's talking to her.
Oh.
Now, this girl had on a shirt with flowers, the same flowers with the garden in heaven.
Wow.
Had on regular blue jeans. She had on these white little sneakers. She looked around my age, and she was filled with life. Now, if there's ever an energy source that you plug into that feels like life on Earth, well, that was it. And I was happy, and I was ecstatic, and I was like, you can see me? And her exact words to me were, of course I can see you, silly. You called for me.
You're the reason I'm here.
Now my older sister's talking to her, and she's skipping and laughing. And I'm just acknowledging also the flowers on the shirt. And we're walking and walking. My mom, of course, doesn't see her, and my older brothers don't see her, but she sees her. And I'm talking to her through some kind of like telepathy. And she made me feel good. And she goes, I'm going to be with you along the way. And then about a block or 2 up, because she was with us for a while, she's gone. She disappeared. Mm. Now, me and my older sister were looking up and down the street and everywhere for her. We can't find her. Well, see, now, before I was born, my mom had lost a daughter. A couple of weeks old, she came home in that house, Staten Island, and she died a couple of weeks later. And we believe that's our sister. And God said, hey, you never met your sister. Remember, you recognized her in my home. Well, now she's in your home. And here she is.
Wow.
And this day, we still talk. So I'm going to pause there and see if you have any questions.
I have some questions, but I'm sure I'm going to let Leslie go first because.
So the little girl, was that the one that came in from the right in the field? I'm trying to make that connection.
Yes.
Okay. And do you think it's your sister? And
I don't. There's no more thinking. It's enough.
Right. And when she said that she'll be I don't know if it's she that said it, that she'll be with you. Does that mean like throughout your life kind of thing? I mean, did you take it that way? It's
kind of like a thing like I'll be watching you along the way, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so did you start with your abilities and practicing and I can't think of the word, basically practicing your mediumship and psychic abilities at that point, like forward, or did you have another like long?
No, that was a spiritual awakening to let me know that, hey, this wasn't a dream or hallucination. This is your sister. And now you get to her. Now in Staten Island, New York, in the cemetery is my sister, and then my grandmother's right on top of her. They're together. And this was God saying, hey, we're going to meet everybody now.
Right.
And it makes you feel good that you will see loved ones again.
Yeah.
And it's not the way you see them in the physical world. Because I get asked all the time when I do lectures and whatnot, well, what if I didn't like that person? I don't want to see them. I get these questions.
Sure.
It doesn't work like that. The physical reality, we sort of have our limitations of what we like and we don't like. We have egos. We all have egos. And we carry that on our shoulders, and we don't accept certain things or people and whatnot. It's the physical reality of us. When you're on the other side, that doesn't exist. That's all gone. All the pain, torture, hate, anything that you would think of that is negative is out the window.
Okay.
It's not but the existence of who I am, the pureness of who I am. And I talk about the blade of grass. People say, well, just a blade of grass, right? And that's what we would say in the physical world, just a blade of grass. But you see now on that side, well, first of all, there's no time. Time does not exist. We make up time in the physical realm. So people ask me, well, how long were you there? Honestly, I don't know. In the physical, it was a short time, but in the spiritual, it could have been a week or two, taking all that in, because there is no time. But the blade of grass is the creation of life and existence, and it's everything. And when you cross over, you start to accept the natural things that were given to us, not taken for granted, but how, and you feel the vibration of it. And that's important because everything in the physical realm, each and every one of us, whether we like it or we say it or we deny it, we take for granted. We do. It's just how we are as people. Mm-hmm. But when you cross your true essence of who you are, and why you came here to the physical realm, why you came and did a soul contract to experience the things you do, you'll get it all. And I tell people, when your life stage is complete, it's like your puzzle's put together. Some people say, well, what happens if someone dies at birth? Guess what? That was their puzzle. They had to just go and experience a certain thing. If they die at birth, or 1 year old, or 2 year old, or 100 years old, that was their design before they came to the physical realm. They just had to experience a couple more things on this journey before they go back home. That's what it's really about. Because I get asked, why would someone want to die in a car accident or of cancer? Of course, these are all horrible things. But remember what I said, there's no time on that side. We make up time. So this is, believe it or not, it may feel lengthy sometimes, of the torture that you go through, or agony of trying to get back in your life together, whether it's finances or medical. But I'll tell you what, it's a short window, believe it or not.
Compared to eternity, right?
And when you go back, you're like, that was nothing. That's what I did.
And from my understanding, it's really quick. Like, your life that you had experienced when you're on the other side seemed like it went by like that. You know, even though while we're here, it's like this long, drawn out lifetime. But over there, it's just like, oh, that was just like that quick experience, just like the many others that we've all probably had. But I want to mention a synchronicity. I was standing on a beautiful patch of grass, blades of grass, grounding right before this interview, like literally right before it. I was just taking a minute. I had a minute. I was like, I'm going to ground. And I found this nice patch of grass with it just looked really pretty. And I'm standing there and I look down, and right next to my foot is a little tiny feather. Oh, can you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
And I just think that's a neat connection to your story about the grass and the field, and how, the connection with nature and how we take it for granted. And, I'm trying to connect as best I can. I keep thinking about stopping and like connecting with a tree. I've yet I have done it, but I feel that. Like I feel like I need to do that. But yes, connection with nature.
And that's important. That's why people say to ground yourself, take off your shoes and socks and walk on the grass, walk on the earth.
Yes.
Ground yourself, hug a tree, the vibration of life. These are things that do work because we're all part of the creation. But sometimes we get lost into, maybe it sounds silly, but it's not silly. It's called grounding. And when you become spiritually connected, you start to realize, wait a second, the interconnection of us is we're all connected to everything.
Right.
Exactly.
That's pretty much in a nutshell that, that's how it works, right? We're all vibration. We're all energy.
Yeah.
You want to take in all the positive energy and push out negative. And sometimes it's hard because you're in a physical world and you're
part of the experience almost.
But you have to remember this. The most important key thing that I will talk on this show tonight, besides the near-death experience, you come into this world alone and you will leave alone. You will not take your car, your home, your spouse. You will not take anything. You are here on a temporary journey like a lease of a vehicle. Therefore, appreciate, validate, love, trust along the way of the physical journey and acceptance, because you see now that's what you do take with you. Every positive thing that you do for mankind, and you can feel it, that with intent that you're doing the right thing, you will take that vibration and aura with you to the next journey.
I love that.
Yes, thank you. I'm so glad you pointed that out. That's an amazing point to make. I love that. And it's very synchronistic that we just also spoke to somebody else recently, Stephen Nowak, who, just like you, is a co-author on this book. And he too mentioned a vibrant field of flowers that just seemed like otherworldly, and how each little blade of grass and petal on the flower had this life to it. And it was like singing, and the colors were so vibrant, and we just don't have those color options in our Crayola color box here on Earth. It's just like not a thing. So I find that really, really beautiful that we hear that a lot.
And synchronistic.
Yes, very synchronistic. So thank you for sharing that. That was amazing.
Yeah, there's colors that don't exist. I can't even describe the colors. You can't. But they're beyond beautiful. And they're beyond words. And my simpleton words on this show doesn't even give recognition to what it's really like. It's just a scratch on the surface of what it's like. Gotcha. But I can't. I don't believe that the form of human consciousness can actually give all the detail of perfection, how that's done. And I mean perfection.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine it, but I don't even know if my human 3D brain can do that.
All right, Philip, for those unfamiliar with terms like clairvoyance, channeling, claircognizance, how do you explain these abilities to someone curious but skeptical?
I like skeptical people. I was skeptical too. You know how I describe that? It's like you're changing the channel on the television, and all of a sudden you hit that frequency of the other side. So it's a scan through. And it's an ability, a form of, I would say, telepathy between the spirit realm and the physical realm, where we all have an ability, all of us. Some of us are blocked because of everyday life, and some of us, we try to unblock ourselves and scan through and get those messages from the other side. And I questioned it too for a long time. I question everything. That's what I do, right? I'm a hardcore New Yorker. Dickhead. I don't believe in anything until you experience it. Yeah.
I'm from Queens. I know exactly what she's talking about.
and don't mind me. I'm just from Jersey, so
we'll forgive him for that.
Queens, Staten Island. and I'm Italian, so and the old Italian saying is, if you don't believe it, if you don't see it, you don't believe it.
Right. Yep.
And I'm one of those people. But now,
I think that comes part of being a New Yorker and being raised a Catholic. It's like just all part of that whole situation.
It is. Yes. Yes. If I told my parents back in the day I see ghosts, or I get a slap and sent to bed. Back in the, Wake up tomorrow and tell me something I want to hear, like your math test that you passed. So,
right, yeah. They don't want to hear anything that has to do with woo.
And as time goes on, culture changes, and the culture of acceptance of, wait a second, I'm starting to understand now. Now I feel like the veil's beginning thinner between both worlds, the physical and the spiritual, as the years are going on now, and the acceptance is coming through.
Yes.
Wait a second, maybe we can communicate. Maybe we aren't alone. Maybe some people do have abilities. You know, you talk about ghosts in the 60s or 70s, you were laughed at, you were mocked. Today you talk about ghosts, and it's more widely accepted because now everyone's coming forward, you know, and saying, I think I've seen something too.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, seriously.
They're coming forward.
Yes.
And that's honestly part of the reason why we do this show, why we are making this Living Life Consciously show, is so that conversations that used to be so stigmatized and so taboo and so, oop, you can't say that, you're going to go to the crazy house if you do. We try to normalize that here. We're trying to like make it a casual thing, you know?
Yeah, because, you know, there definitely is more to reality than what we know, you know, or what you know,
can perceive
the regular
in these
person
physical
is aware
bodies.
of.
Yeah.
Right.
We are eternal spiritual beings having a temporary physical or human experience.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, most definitely. And one of the questions I get asked too is, well, did you see God? Did you see angels? I get asked this all the time. And here's my answer. My answer is no, I didn't see God or angels. But here's what I did see. What I did see was this, the truth. The other side doesn't have a religion, Christian, Catholic, or whatever your religion. It doesn't have a religion. It has an acceptance of each individual soul. When I seen that pinhole of light coming through the dark tunnel, and the pinhole of light opens up into this tremendous, magnificent opening in sky, it's the vibration of love. And love is energy, and energy is the creator, which we call God.
I would say you saw God just by looking at them blades of grass.
Yeah. And also, I feel like for a child or for any individual, you're given the experience that is for you. You know, you personally, that will help you in the situation. You know, usually, I mean, we're hearing the stories of the people who actually come back, but everyone else who doesn't come back, they're experiencing this, but they go on. You know, and to me, it sounds like an amazing, you know, experience. I feel the need because I just like pumped up, you know, dying, like it's an amazing experience. But from, you know, I've studied and researched a lot of near-death experiences. And for those who are feeling very, you know, depressed and not happy with life and considering taking their own life, I don't know what's acceptable to say, Allie. I don't know. I'm going off on this, but I just feel like it's important to say that that is not the answer, and that's what we get from a lot of near-death experiencers who, you know, tried it themselves, and that's how they had their near-death experience. But yeah, we are here and we're learning lessons from what I understand, and you know, we're gonna want to repeat those lessons. Like, even though we made that choice in our physical body, and maybe it was our ego or whatever that made that choice, but our soul, our spirit probably wouldn't have had that, and will re-enter another lifetime to experience what they went to try to experience, the lesson they went to learn in the first place. If you want to speak on that, Philip, in your thoughts, I guess.
You know, it's a journey that we've selected. It's a soul contract that we've written down, and we don't know. And the thing is, if you knew everything, well, then life is boring, right? Because if you knew when you're going to die and what you're going to, who your wife is, or whatever you're going through, it's boring. It's boring. It's like, okay, that's it. So it's the unknown that we go through, that we try to understand. We have to go through these mountains and these leaps and these hurdles of everything we go through, right? It's hurt, it's sorrow, it's pain, it's love, it's peace. We go through all the walks of vibrations because everything is a vibration. And people say, well, you know, there's some people that don't want to go on anymore. In fact, it's sad to say, but a lot of people don't want to go on anymore. They're done. They're tired. They're tired because of government controls and things that they're going through. They're just tired. And I say to people, push through. Trust me, it's worth the push. It's because you're going to take that with you, that vibration of who you really are and your soul's content with you. You'll take that. I want to jump into this. The most powerful thing that I know.
Okay.
I get asked all the time, are we alone in the universe, or are there other beings, intelligent beings? To everyone listening going forward on this show tonight, and we're not alone. We're not alone, not because of my words, but because of my experience. And this is what happened to me. Again, in 1981 was a very interesting time. People ask me, what were the 80s like? Well, the 80s were like magic, and then some people had these wild experiences. There's like a magic in the air with experiences for some of us. It was a beautiful summer day. About 50 kids in the street, teenagers were all playing baseball, football, having a good time, right?
Crack the fire hydrant open.
Yeah, crack the fire hydrant open. Drink out of the garden hose.
Yep.
I want you to listen to this. This is going to get crazy for a second.
Okay.
I stopped in the middle of the street. Something stopped me through a form of your brain, part of the brain is just stopped. And there's a telecommunication coming from a being to me. Now, my friends, I do hear my friends audibly saying, get out of the street, there's a car coming. Get out of the street. I couldn't move. I was in a paralysis. And here's what this intelligent being said to me. Philip, are you having a good time in your life? And I said through a form of telepathy back, yes. Why? The voice was very intelligent. It was, so if I was around 14 years old, then this must have been an intelligent being, maybe in their 20s, of a distinctive voice from a higher source. This is what they said. Good. Because when your life journey is complete, this is where you will wind up. And I was released. And I'm walking this, and was like, get out of the way, get out of the way. So I go back to my house. I'm like, oh my, what happened to me? What happened to me? Mm-hmm. Well, now I get it. Now I get it. You see, what that being was trying to tell me is that we go through timelines and we experience things, and we have those higher moments in life, and you think it's over, but it's not. So what does that mean? It means that some of it's way out there. It is way out there. First of all, are there aliens? Are there grays? Yes, yes, yes. And I have some things that are mind-blowing. Okay. We talk about the Mandela effect of how people remember things a certain way, and other people like, no, it never existed. Yes. And it's okay to say that. You know why? What the being was trying to tell me is that this is where you will wind up when your life journey is complete. And I'm getting, what do you mean? When I die, I come back to 14 years old? The answer is yes, but not the way we think physically. It's kind of like, this is what they showed me as in my mind. So they said, draw a circle, a little circle on a piece of paper. Now draw another circle and keep drawing infinite circles, and don't stop around those circles. These are timelines, Philip. These are timelines. Your vibrations go through certain areas, and you're going to slip timelines. So this is wild. Let's say you die, but you don't know you died. But the people you left behind know you died, but you're continuing. It's kind of like, it reminds me of that movie with Nicolas Cage, A Family Man, where he goes to sleep and wakes up to another life of the family. And the being is trying to say to me, we're on different timelines. So different experiences that you're going to have is because this is what your soul contract wanted. Mm-hmm. And I'll pause it there because I know you may have questions, but I will say that, number one, the Mandela effect is real.
Yes.
And it's because some of us remember things a certain way and others don't. Mm-hmm. That's okay. And one of the biggest things is Fruit of the Loom and all the.
That's what was in my head.
And then the monocle on the Monopoly guy.
The Monopoly guy.
Uh-huh.
It's okay because what they're saying is these are the timelines that you go through. We're physical. We don't know everything. We don't. We're boxed in. You have your senses, right? You could see, you could talk, you could walk, you could smell, so you're limited.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what happens near-death experience? There's unlimited senses that you have. So you're not boxed in anymore to this physical shell. It's like, whoa, I could see everything and hear everything through a spirit, a vibration of me, the existence of me. I'll pause it.
The thing that just came to my mind when you said that, talking about the expansiveness, is I've been wearing glasses since I was like literally in kindergarten. And to me, the idea of having perfect vision in like 360-degree format is just like so intriguing. It's like, my soul chose this physical body that like can't see crap without my glasses on. So I guarantee once I slip out of here and go back into the ethereal form, I'm going to be like, I can see. Do you think that Earth is going through like a collective ascension experience right now? Because we've heard that from a lot of channelers and other NDEers. They all have this feeling or this sense of like we're all leading up to something. Did you get that same kind of feeling?
Most definitely.
Can you describe that for us?
Well, the veil's thin, and some of us with these abilities can feel the vibration of things about to happen, and the earth changes. We're in a very unsettling time in the physical realm, very unsettling, where you don't know. Well, the truth really is you don't know if you're waking up tomorrow, and not because of a physical death, because of what's going on around, put the news on. It's sad to say, but you don't know if something's gonna be flying, missiles gonna be flying by, and it's over. We're in these stages. But I'm going to tell you this: when I talk about the timelines, when I talk about the Mandela effect, here's another question I get asked, and this is a great question I get asked. If Earth wasn't here because it was destroyed by mankind, will we still go on?
Okay.
We would. What the being was trying to tell me was the impossible. Is that when your life, Philip, when your life journey ends, this is where you'll wind up. It's because what they're trying to say is, well, you've created everything to begin with. Nothing is solid. Everything around you is materialistic. That is a vibration. Your physical being, what you think is physical, has created everything. You created this own reality of existence to think and perceive that it's real. Right now on this show, you could say, well, am I in your reality or are you in my reality? Or are we in a coexistence of a form of consciousness that we came here as collective souls to go through a short window of experience? So if Earth here because it was nuked or destroyed by something, would you still be here? The answer is go back to the Mandela effect. I remember a certain way, and this is of course, because you've created it. I don't have all the answers, but what I do know is what they're telling me makes total amounts of sense, that we've created everything that would surround us. And it's hard, right? People are like, well, what do you mean? Well, nothing is solid, right? I mean, as a spiritualist, we know everything vibrates.
Right.
Nothing is solid. So if nothing is solid, how is that knocking? How do you hear that? It's not solid. But it is, because I'm creating it to be solid.
Right.
It's kind of like you're this consciousness that's experiencing things, a form of reality that you want to perceive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's fascinating. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's unique, and it's the existence of us. And that's why I tell people, use the higher vibration through the physical realm and keep out the negatives as best as you can. It is hard because we all go through sickness and disease, and whether it's financial or whatever you're going to go through in life, whether it's a long-lived journey or short-lived or however you're going to go through it. Remember one thing. Number one, you're going to go back home. Number two, it's a short window of existence. And number three, take that vibration with you of everything you've done for your fellow man. Don't accept nothing back because you ain't taking anything to the grave. The guy who's a billionaire is going to be in the same place you are, whether you have $5 in your pocket. You're going to the same place.
Right.
Right.
There's
Literally.
no truck taking all your money with you. It doesn't exist.
Right.
So why not experience it on a high vibrational level of love, peace, harmony, and trust and acceptance?
Yeah, it's a lot
I love
about
that.
perspective. It's super important, and I feel like you're basically speaking on the law of attraction. So in a way, I feel like through the law of attraction, which seems to be on the other side, it's like instant. Instant. You think something and it's right there, but here it's a longer process, and we don't realize that we're attracting, and it could be with our thoughts and how we're thinking. If we're not conscious of our thoughts and what we're thinking and living life consciously, we will create more of what we don't want if we're not aware of this universal law to help us better our lives, or at least be able to handle. I don't know what I'm saying, but yes, it takes a lot of practice, because we are, humans are very programmed through the generations and society and even government control and stuff that they do to try to have everybody conform, basically. And I feel like, yes, the veil is there is a collective consciousness increasing. There's more of an awareness, and that's why we're here doing this, to help push that along. But I couldn't help but think about Seth speak the eternal validity of the soul in that book. I can't think of her name right now, but anyway, she channels this entity or group called Seth, and they touched on like other realities, like if we make a choice in this lifetime, and we were like debating, should I do A or B, and they go with A, like there's a whole nother parallel reality where that B choice
Played out. Yeah.
So that's really far-fetched, crazy to think about, but for some reason it made me think of that when you were speaking earlier.
The timeline thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you could have a decision that branches your timeline off into a separate alternate timeline.
And so perhaps maybe when we do go on the other side, we have the awareness of all of those parallel realities, instantly if we want to.
That whole idea always blows my mind. Like to think that there's some other AlliE that's a veterinarian doing like surgeries on animals, saving lives is like really wild to think about.
Yeah.
Well, I want to jump into that because that's true, actually.
I know. I wonder what she's doing.
I think I sent you a picture. So in July, we were living in Easton, Pennsylvania. I purchased an old Victorian home. This was 2007. And my wife and I were sleeping. And these three beings came through the window as if the window in the wall did not exist. And I'm staring at them. They were tall. They were greenish. And I remember they had leathery fingers, like they were silky wet. And I was afraid. So my wife jumps up. I jump up, and I'm frozen again. As if you can't control the physical body.
Right.
I'm turned, and I feel something being implanted into my left eardrum.
Whoa.
So I wake up the next morning. The room is a wreck. And I says to my wife, what happened here? She goes, what happened? It's like, nothing. Maybe it was a nightmare. Well, I had a lot of friends in Pennsylvania, and the weekend comes by, and they're like, hey, did you hear about that UFO sighting?
Oh, stop it.
I think, did I send you the clip?
Yes.
And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And like, there was a UFO sighting. Someone reported it. Well, I worked in New Jersey. I was working for True Green Chem at the time, right? I was in sales, and I remember going to work, and I was in telecommunications, and I'm on the phone, and it was back then, I guess, when the landlines was back in 2007. They were using the regular phones.
Careful there, Philip. You're dating us.
I felt tingling in my left eardrum every time I'd hold the phone to it. So I thought nothing of it, but I used, I had to hold the phone to my right ear. So a few days later, I'm home, and me and my wife had to move a mattress. And I lift up the mattress, and I get all these electric shocks through my fingers. And I had to drop it. I can't lift the mattress. It's like these electrical shocks. It hurts really bad. You never know when you rub your foot on the carpet and you touch something?
Yeah.
It's that static electricity. Well, it was like 100 times worse.
Okay.
Today, I can't lift a mattress that has coils. But what you said is true. Because what I gathered and what I was given, this kind of information, is that we don't just exist here. We don't. It's kind of like we're in this multiverse where there's other forms and vibrations of us. And again, we have to separate the physical of what we think, because what we think is so deceptive.
Yes, this is not who we really are.
Right. It's kind of like the multiverse is, yes, there's other forms of us that exist in different life forms. This is not it. This is not it. The physical, it is not
of us.
What these beings were trying to tell me is that, Philip, this is not it. This is just a version of it, but this is not it. There's so much more of us that we ourselves in a form are infinite. So the beings, I do have a picture. People ask me, well, then are aliens real? Yes. Are they here for destruction? Absolutely not. Actually, they're the reasons we're still here. In a form, because they're the ones that I believe that if it wasn't for them, we would probably have nuked themselves a long time ago. All the country, all this hate, I believe that they have a form of watching us too, to a certain degree. And again, I don't know much, but I only know my experience is that they are real. This is not, people say, well, they've had an abduction. It's real. It's not fake. Now, of course, there's some people out there that'll do things for entertainment, but no, these beings are real. They are not harmful. Now, if we go back, I don't know how old you guys are. I'm 56 years old now. If you go on TikTok, right, this is what's interesting, is that some people will show segments of the 70s and the 80s of fragments of time where time was like and pictures and people were like. And then they'll go into the new age that we're in. And like, what happened? And you'll see 1,000 comments. What happened? What happened? What happened? The timeline shifted. That's what happened. It's kind of like what we were on the form of naturalism and that pureness of us, it slowly gets washed away by a form of government control, and we realize that we
subconscious programming, basically, right?
There you go, 1,000,000%.
Yep. Now, I like that you're talking about how we basically all have these psychic abilities, right? Like we all have telepathy in there. It may not be like prevalent because you're not like exercising that muscle, but it's all there. Can you do our audience a favor and tell us about your website and what services you and your wife offer there and what kind of things you guys do? And drop your links so they know where to find you.
Yeah. My name is Philip Siracusa, obviously. It's Horsefly Chronicles, World of Psychics. Can we communicate with the other side? We all have the ability, yes. Can we channel? Yes. It's a lot of meditation. And what we do is we help people, I do a lot of it, is help people connect to loved ones that have crossed over. I have that interconnection, and I questioned it. I also questioned the home that I live in. I live in one of the most notorious haunted houses in the world. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe anything. I always didn't believe it. But when you experience it and you can't give scientific explanations behind things, and you hear voices from the other side, it's not all evil, it's communication. You realize that we don't just walk the journey in the physical world alone. There's no reason to be afraid. It's because it's a part of us. It's a coexistence. It's okay. It's okay when you smell a scent and you think it's grandma or grandpa. It's okay when you hear a song and you think of a loved one that crossed over. It's okay when your best friend died and it's giving you a message. It could be a butterfly or a dragonfly or something at the most mysterious.
Or a feather.
Or a feather, right.
Or a feather. These are forms of communication through the veil, through the other side. If you open up your eye, which we do in Horsefly Chronicles, we will give you the valid communication that we feel is the ability to connect and communicate. And if we can't, we can't. That just simply means that a loved one's not ready to communicate with you. And that's fine. Because don't forget, we make up time. So that's what we do. When we started that about a year ago, because the home was so recognized and our abilities were growing, we live in a home where over 52 paranormal teams from around the world have been here. And we have other psychics and priests and remote viewers and Wiccans and shamans. We've had everyone here to recognize one thing. We coexist.
So do
Awesome.
you do this? Are the spirits like are there spirits in the house with you living there, and do people come and visit your home? Like, I'm trying to imagine what's going on.
It's a family home. I live here. We used to have open investigations. You know, we people by appointment, if they want to come and experience certain things and they have questions or doubt, then we say, okay, as long as you sign a waiver and a formal invitation will be sent to you. Of course. This is the notorious Horsefly Chronicles home, and it's our mission. I tell people, don't take my word. It is our mission to teach people the validation that there is another side and that you can't communicate. And what we may see as a ghost or dark or evil, maybe it's someone that's wanting to say hello to you as well. There's so many different realms, but we know that when you hear something on an audio recorder answering the question that you just asked, science does not explain that. When a door opens and shuts without a vibration of a window open or a vent being near it on communication, science cannot explain that. When you are touched on the shoulder, you could think it's psychosomatic or power of thought. But when something actually moves and nothing is there to move it, science cannot explain it. Therefore, we're not alone, but that's okay, because it's only an existence of us. You know, I get this all the time. Well, if someone died 100 years ago, is it over and done with it and never going to be seen or heard from again? No. Remember what the alien being told me? This is where you will wind up. So as a paranormal investigator, right, really quick, I go to other locations that are 200, 300, 400 years old. And sometimes the spirits that have been in that existence of that time frame will come through. Sometimes we'll get a picture or an audio recording of them. And what they're doing, it's a residual energy. And sometimes it's an active energy where there's a form of intelligent communication. Just because we moved on doesn't mean that that time frame has moved on. And that's the exciting part about it. It's kind of like deja vu. I've been there before, but I can't recognize it.
And
guess what?
Everything's happening now, all the lives, even what we consider past, the 50s is all happening, now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So speaking of the house that you and your wife Julia own, can you share one of the most chilling experiences that you've had since you've owned it?
So basically, really quick, if you go on YouTube, type in the Horsefly Chronicles home, bang, you're going to see people like, oh, this guy was here, this guy was here. Okay, so are there also dark, malevolent forces that exist? Of course there are. Well, obviously, if there's a heaven, then guess what? Let's not fool ourselves. There's a darker side too, right?
Okay.
There are some negative forces that roam the earth. So if you're asking me about chilling things that have happened, well, you know, have you ever seen a dark shadow in the corner of the eye? And you think it's just part of your eyesight? They say, wait, it was just me. Well, maybe that dark shadow is a shadow person. Now, we don't know truly what shadow people are. We don't. We still can't dissect it. For some of our experience with shadow people are their negative forces. Some of it is they're interdimensional beings. We don't know exactly what they are, but we do know from the Fox News broadcast about a year ago when Congress was interviewing people who've had these intelligent experiences that we're not alone. They were coming forward saying, hey, these are interdimensional. Somehow there's a fine line of, you don't have to see something as a being to think it's a being. They can come in the form of a shadow, but they are very intelligent. And we know that because on the audio recordings that we have, they can tell you who you're talking to or texting on your phone. They can tell you who is coming to your house. Now, again, it's not exact science and it's not a perfect formula, but what we've gathered is there are higher intelligence that's way more advanced than us. And some of them may not have the best interest of us, and they may be on the darker side.
Sure.
Now, talking about a little bit of evilness, well, my son was slapped in the face by nothing. Nothing was there. So, there's different things that do walk the earth. I believe me, my wife, and my family share these experiences to teach people, number one, we're not alone. Number two, ghosts exist. Number three, we coexist. So get over it. Move on.
I love that summary.
I mean,
just wrap it up real
quick. Do
quick.
you do anything to, like when that happened with your son, let's say, like, did you what did you do to, like, I don't know.
So what we did was we took all the, right. So good question. Awesome question. We took all the ordinary measures, right? We had the Catholic priest come in, bless the home. You know what happens when the priest comes? Nothing. Then we had the Wiccans, the shamans, the reverends, the deacons. I have all these pictures. Everything's documented. We have it throughout the years. We try to remove it, right?
Okay.
Because you think it's a force. Well, guess what? Do you remember what I said when I crossed over, when I went into the other side, that religion doesn't exist?
Right.
Yeah.
Religion's made up. I'm not here to disrespect religion. I won't do that. But knowing what I know, and I know a lot, it's something that's made up for mankind. It's all made up. It's scripted. It's made up. It's handed out. Do you think people hand out a book they've written 1,000 years ago and all of a sudden the next guy remembers it, he rewrites? Come on.
I mean, do you think there's a level of truth to some of it? Like,
No.
they all seem to sort of tell the same story, like, in different cultures. So, like, I've always been curious about that. I feel like it's like half truth, like.
Well, let me give you an example. Make believe there's 100 people on this show tonight, and I'm going to give you a paragraph. Now, I want you to tell the next person the paragraph, and after the 99 person goes back to me for 100, you think it's the same paragraph?
No.
There's your answer.
Right. Which makes sense, but they're all different variations from the same stories or something. But anyway.
But what is true? But here's what is true: love, light, vibration, harmony, peace, kindness, acceptance. That's all true. And that's all you need. You don't need to pray to anyone.
Yeah, and it's almost like the evil or darkness is just a lack or absence of love, basically. And
remember I said in the tunnel, the darkness, the void?
Yes.
Fill it with the pinhole of light that opens up into a magnificent sky, and carry that vibration around you as if you put a white light around you in the physical realm and say nothing can harm me, affect me, and control me. Yeah. I am on this journey, and I will be the best of me.
That's a beautiful reminder. Thank you.
All right, so Philip, I saw on your website, that you are a channeler, which I'm really curious about, and but also that you do past life regression. So I'm very interested in that. So is AlliE and Justin, and I don't know, like, what if you could give us a little insight on some information that you've gotten, from somebody that's interesting for the viewers, I guess.
Having abilities to communicate with the other side and spirits and loved ones, is a gift, right? Which we all have. And again, some of us are open to that and more receptive. And it's a form of meditation to do that. We've all had past lives, every one of us. And we don't remember. Some people just don't remember. Some people don't believe, or some people may have fragments of time where they feel like, again, deja vu, where they've been somewhere, but they can't pinpoint it. Well, you've been there. You're not hallucination. It's not a form of a false manifestation. It's real. This is real. You've been there. And these are the timelines. So when we go through these things, and I communicate, so what I actually do is I'll ask a person, hey, who are you looking to speak to? And again, it's not on our form of communication and command that a spirit comes through. If a spirit wants to come through, well, they'll let you know they're coming through to talk to you. And I love it, because you lose someone in your family or friend or cousin or relative, and you feel like it's lost. You're never going to talk to them again. I can promise you that that's not true. It's not true. You will. You will. In a better form. So going through the past lives, well, we all have them. And I bring people back to a form of meditation. It's kind of like counting down, walking down the steps in the mind. And when you walk down the steps, at the bottom steps is a door, and you open the door. And when you're ready, I'll bring you there. And you'll walk right through that timeline, in that frame of mind, of consciousness, and it comes a remembrance of, wait a second, am I really seeing this? Is this real? We have the abilities, and I think that one of these beings also, when I had this, what do you call it, abduction or connection to these grays, let me know that these abilities, this is like a multiverse of us. It's not just here and now. Watch this. I'm a paranormal investigator, right? Okay, I go into a home. And I love naysayers. I love skeptics. Oh, there's no such thing as ghosts. I love it. I want atheists to come. I love atheists too, by the way. And the reason I love them is because I want you to not believe. I want you to be skeptical. There's some people out there don't believe in God, heaven, hell, nothing. They believe when you die, it's over. We came from the A cell and evolution. Or okay, I get it. I get what your belief is. Okay, I don't disrespect, but I get it. And then when you go to a home, and someone's walking up and down the stairs, but the stairs don't exist. But the stairs did exist 100 years ago when it was another home.
Oh.
And now I'm going to tell you that the timelines are real. Mr. and Mrs. Jones do walk up those stairs, and they do exist. Just because a condominium was built where an old Victorian home once sat from the 1700s, does not mean it's gone forever. It means that the vibration that we've tried to change and put something new there, an apartment building or a townhouse or row homes, well, guess what? She still goes up and down the stairs. And we have it on recording. So then you say to yourself, well, then if we have it on recording, what does it mean? It's a fragment of time, my friends. It is a timeline. Just because we think something is gone and over, we've built over it, do you really think it's gone and over and you built over it? Or it's what you manifested to believe and see in the physical realm because you made it exist that way. It exists multiple ways because it had multiple journeys through multiple existences of lifetimes. Same thing with the pyramids. The pyramids, mankind, to my belief, has never built those pyramids, and it still can't build the pyramids. They're too perfect to build. So there is a higher intelligence, a higher form of energy, a higher form of existence, and also of us.
Philip, so your passion for helping others navigate their physical journey with love and happiness is evident. What advice do you have for someone struggling to find their path in life?
You ever see the Rocky movie when he says you don't give up? And you got to take the punches before you can actually do the role. Don't give up. Life is hard. There's no doubt that the physical journey, some of it there's some barriers that you find almost impossible to get through. None of us are perfect. None of us are living forever in the physical realm, and none of us will take anything with us. And how we get through it is a form of knowing that we can get through it. Believe. Manifest it that it already happened and you already made it through it. You know, I interview millionaires and billionaires on my radio show, and one of the things I ask them is, well, how'd you get there? The first thing they say is, you have to believe that you have it before you have it. Wow. Now, isn't that hard to do? Okay. That's like me telling you right now that you're the most famous actress in the world. Like, well, I can't. You have to believe it before it happens. You have to manifest the belief before it happens.
The feeling of it.
You have to feel the vibration of it. You have to feel like you own it, you have it, you are it. You're getting into that Maserati, you're walking into your mansion. You have to feel if that's what you want, right? Those things don't mean anything to me. When you cross over, that's material things mean nothing to me. But for a person who wants to experience that, and you have to believe it, you really have to feel it. And then, so it's kind of like get that picture, put it on the wall of the things you want. Now, let's say the picture isn't material. Let's say it's a person you want to meet. You want to find true love. Put a whole bunch of pictures on the wall of the person you want to meet, or something similar to a person you feel. And think about it and manifest it through thought. Well, the same way you manifest through thought of the material things or someone you want to meet in the physical world is the same way you manifest you getting through the problem. Get through the problem by manifesting that it's already over. You already achieved it. It's done. So the financial burden of I couldn't do it, I did it. Mm-hmm. The burden of I couldn't get better, but I did. Anything you can do mentally and think about it through a form of consciousness, you can create its reality. Now, I get asked the hard questions. Well, Bill, Mrs. Jones has cancer, and she's got a week to live. Now, how does she get through that? I love these questions because I get them, right? Mm-hmm. I get emails every day. Like, oh, you want my answer to that? Timeline. When Mrs. Jones crosses over, again, everyone's not going to get this. It's okay. Does Mrs. Jones know she crossed over? Or is Mrs. Jones in another timeline where she's okay? And the people that on that timeline, she crossed over to them, but they re-exist on the new timeline. This is what the being was trying to tell me.
That's very profound.
Yeah. Wow. This is what he was trying to tell me. This is where you will wind up when your life journey is complete. And I would say, well, my mom's going to be there, my dad, but they would be gone. No. It's a physical form of reality that we're creating to think that. The answer is no. You skip the timeline, and it's kind of like you're driving on the road, and all of a sudden you got to make that right turn. You got to go off that road, and you go into another timeline of you. Mm. And again, for the people out there that are listening to this, I know it sounds like it's way out there, but now there's more evidence coming forward. Again, look at the Mandela effect and give me an explanation behind everything that we think. And with some people, half the population remembers it and half doesn't.
Yeah, it's a wild concept.
And then you say to yourself, wait a second, then a timeline does exist.
Wow. That is
it's
cool.
Out,
it is. All right. Well, I wanted to ask you if you've ever heard of the name Jim Segala.
No.
Okay. He's a scientist, a researcher that researches this UAP phenomena, right? Or what I just call the phenomena. And he has created a device that he calls the MUPAS device, and it's a modular UAP sensor system. And he has a study that's gone on since I think 2017.
Yeah, he's in phase 2 now.
Yeah, he's in phase 2 of his research study, where he's had this sensor system device in over 600 people's homes, right? Experiencers, abductee experiencers,
haunted places,
and he has been able to correlate actual environmental changes as these people are experiencing the phenomenon.
Right.
And it's he's had, I think, double blind and triple blind experiments, and he's gotten a 4.5 sigma result over the course of this study. And it's pretty amazing, to think that there are actual physical environmental changes that are happening as people are having these experiences, these abductee phenomena, happening to them, or paranormal experiences,
Yeah, and it could be anything from like gamma radiation spikes to radio frequency spikes to temperature changes to changes in the electromagnetic field. There's like there's like all these different sensors in there, and they're basically able to say, okay, when this person felt that they had sleep paralysis and a possible abduction experience, we can correlate that with spikes in the gamma and the RF readings. So it's like they can almost predict and like validate when an experience
20
is
times
happening.
over what the background is,
Yeah.
And so to me that's very significant, and if
I'd love to have that in my home.
That's what we were going to ask you.
That's what we were going to ask you.
I would love to have that.
You would probably get readings out the yin yang in your house.
Yeah. So
You should put them in contact.
We should. Yeah. Yeah.
Is he near Pennsylvania?
No, he's actually in Utah. He's near Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah. So I don't know if you've heard of Skinwalker before.
You can order the device online, and you could have it in your home. I mean, there's even a version of like the Apple Watch thing. It's kind of like a biometric
I don't have mine on me, but
reader. Our friend just ordered it because she's an experiencer, and she's constantly having paranormal things happen to her, and now she wants to like document it scientifically with data reading. So she got the little watch thing. But I'll send you the link for that if you're interested in it. That would be very cool to see if you could install that where you're at and see what kind of readings you can get. That'd be crazy.
That would be. We used to have a live cam around the world here at the Horsefly Chronicles home in the basement, and we would show the world, look, what you see is what you get. If you see nothing, you get nothing. If you see something, you're going to get it. And with the forms of electricity that come through the other side, you hear. Again, this is on YouTube. I put some of this stuff out there. So if you look it up, Horsefly Chronicles on YouTube, you may see some of this stuff. But you hear these voices from another side that don't exist in the physical realm. So it is wild. Some places have portals and vortexes.
Yes.
It's open. Some people, like my home, is on a ley line. So
I was wondering if your home was on something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And the amount of energy that sometimes, look, I'm Italian, I'm a hardcore New Yorker, and I got a stealth background of different things. I'm from New York, you're from Queens.
Yeah, I get it.
The point I'm trying to make is that I didn't believe a lot of this stuff. I didn't. In fact, I would call you out on it. But when you experience it,
changes your whole world.
It's like, whoa, okay, hold on. And then I called some of my hardcore friends too to come down here, some of my connected friends, and like that talk, come down and see what I'm seeing. I mean, it's real. It's real. And again, if science could explain things, but they can't. It's just, you can't explain certain things, and that's okay, right? It's okay.
Right.
This means that, hey, okay, so we're not alone. And devices and all that. I love all that stuff. REM pods and K2 meters, and they're cool. Some of it I debunk, because some of it I do debunk that a cable remote can set off some of these electronic devices to make them beep, or flashlights or whatever. And then some of it you can't debunk a recording of a voice. You can't debunk that. Nothing makes a voice from the other side on a digital recorder. And I'm not talking about a scan box where it's like you're trying to make I'm talking about you record, you stop, and you play it back. That's what I'm talking about. Right. You can't debunk that, and you can't give science behind that. Because if it answers your question, and it's not all the time, but if it does answer the question, which we have encountered, then we coexist, don't we?
Right.
But they did let us know one thing again. The spirit realm let us know is that time frame still exists. That's the part that mankind is not getting.
It's like a residual, leftover, energetic something or other, right?
Well, sometimes the residual, it's active. It's residual, but it's intelligent because it can respond.
Okay.
So it's not just a loop effect.
Okay.
That time frame when Mrs. Jones was up and down the stairs, just because of that time frame, we've recorded and asked questions, and that's the time they're going through. It's still there.
Right.
And it's kind of like, it reminds me of these people, like so much on TikTok, the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s, people say, what happened here? The timeline shifted. We shifted. It's not that it's bad, it's just that it's a different form of consciousness that we're going through. But that's still there. It's still there. And that's what the higher intelligence is trying to let me know, is that it's not over, Philip. This is not the way you think it is. So,
right.
Very,
and
very
it's fascinating information. It's a fascinating topic. And it's only up to the experiencer to go through these things and learn for your values of life. Now, I'm going to say this. Some people may go through this life and experience nothing. And guess what? That's okay. You know why? Because maybe, just maybe in a previous lifetime, they already experienced it. They didn't want to go through it. Maybe they were the biggest spiritualist in a previous lifetime. In this life, they just want to do a simple life and go through it.
Maybe they said this time I want to come in and not have any of these abilities.
Yes. Yes.
Navigate it that way.
Yes. And it's okay. It's okay not to believe, but it's never okay to criticize another person's belief.
I love that you say that.
You don't know what they went through. You don't.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. No, you can go ahead if you have another question. I was
just gonna ask, with the growing interest in spiritual and paranormal phenomena, where do you see the field of psychic mediumship going in the next decade?
Good question.
I don't see a next decade.
Oh.
Okay.
But do you think we're about to experience some kind of crazy, massive timeline shift, like collectively?
It's an awesome question. Not the way no. Not the way we think of it, as if we're going back 10 years ago, how would 10 years ahead be? And now we're at, what would 10 more years be like? That timeline that we may think of, it's more of a form of collective consciousness. What we're experiencing, I don't see it. And it's not to be negative. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just trying to say that there's a lot of unknown variables right now that even some of us can't collect fully. And I talked to a lot of my psychic friends, and there's something off right now. There's this, something is not correct. Okay. Now, I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's CERN, what these people are doing behind the scenes.
Could definitely be CERN.
I literally thought CERN right before you said that.
Well, he's psychic, so of course he knows that.
Something is just not, and I'll just leave it at that, right? I'm not God myself. I'm
right.
But I don't know everything.
Well,
but something's off. Something is, and a lot of people are feeling something is off. Again, it's not negative. It just means that there's some things that
it's possible that it's the chaos before it's cleared out. And I explained it on one of our interviews with a near-death experience researcher. I can't think of his name right now, but
David Such.
Yeah, and I explained it like the what is it called, Allie, with the sand on the
what?
Just the sand.
Very little of your imagination.
Semantic.
Oh, semantics.
Semantics. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think it's cymatics, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
But
cymatics.
Anyway, but so, and that's all about vibration and frequency. And so on this plate of sand, you do a certain frequency, and it it makes it chaotic. The sand goes everywhere, but then you tune so we're in a way we could be tuning. So we're chaotic right now, which would definitely feel off, but we're tuning to a, you know, higher frequency, and it's going to turn into like a beautiful formation, you know, which is like a snowflake or some, you know.
I see what you're saying.
I understand what you're saying.
Symmetrical, like, yeah, it's like an actual like image of, it's not chaotic anymore. So I don't know, like maybe that's what you're feeling. I don't know. I don't like doom and gloom, Philip.
I'm a true talker. I don't tell people what they want to hear. I don't tell people what they want to believe. I tell them what I know. And I don't know everything. I don't. But I know what I experienced. I know the information I've gotten. And I know, you know, I've been accurate on some of the things that I've picked up. Not going to be a naysayer, but some people, you know, and again, I get asked, well, there's no such thing as hell or the devil or demons. Well, guess what? You're wrong. You're wrong. What do you think? It's just heaven, love, and light? Well, what do you think heaven, what do you think the extension of something that a darker force comes from? There's also the void. There's the void too, you know. You think a guy who commits 100 murders is the guy who's going to heaven? Is that what you think? That vibrational soul's going to love and light and peace and harmony, and he destroyed all the families? Or do you think he's going to a void? I'm going to say the void. Now, as a paranormal investigator, and I call out people every day, look, you don't believe, it's fine, right? But if there are negative forces on the earth, which we have picked up and detected through not only a series of paranormal equipment, but people in forms of communities that feeling the vibration of negative entity, and we knew when it was going to happen. Well, where did that negative entity come from? The darkness. So then if that negative entity does exist, then there has to be some form of chaos and destruction that it wants to cause, right, on earth. But it's up to us, each physical person, to raise our vibration and fill in. You know, when I was talking to the priest at my home, they would say, well, fill the void with happiness and get rid of the darkness. And there's no answer, because on my radio show, I questioned the priest and all the bigwigs, and I said, look, I know what I'm experiencing, but do you know everything that you're saying as a priest? No. None of us are God. None of us are the creator to know that. We don't know everything. We're the creator of an individual soul of ourselves and how we perceive things. But one of the biggest mysteries of mankind is we don't know everything. So there are other forces. And when I get asked, well, 10 years down the road, is this the same? No. And it's not such a negative thing. I don't want to twist it to be negative, but I'm not picking that up, and a lot of people I work with aren't picking up. Like, so we know something's off balance.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not that it's automatic doom and gloom. It's just that the picture at this moment's not clear. It's kind of like when you shake the magic 8-ball and the thing pops up and says answer unknown or answer unclear, whatever it says.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And anyone who's had a near-death experience, or anyone who's blind and born blind, like Helen Keller, look at their stories. People ask, well, can she dream, and can she see things in the dream? Yes. So there is another existence, but it's a lot more vibration of energy and love, right? So it's up to us how we get through this journey, and I'll post it there.
Speaking of Helen Keller quote, it's a terrible thing to see but have no vision.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a good one to throw in there.
It's all out there. We put the information out there for people to understand that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Maybe you're experiencing something that you're afraid and embarrassed to tell your coworkers about. You think corporate America is going to understand you if you say there's a ghost in my house? They'll probably try to fire you and say there's something wrong with you.
Right.
But the acceptance of people knowing that you're not alone, and maybe they've had their own experiences.
Sure.
Yeah. And I do all walks of life: disability doctors, pharmacists, scientists. I'll interview everybody. And what I've gathered throughout the years, I've been doing radio for a long time, is that, well, everyone has some sort of experience. Everything is not explainable, and that's okay. And that certain people go through certain journeys, and that's okay, because the other person may not see it. Now, here's a perfect example of what I'm about to say.
Okay.
If God were to appear as a man or whatever in the sky as this being, and all the population around the world was out, half the population would say, well, I don't see anything. And the other half would say, I see him or her or it, or I see the existence.
Mm-hmm.
Deniability of what we try to believe through a form of consciousness, what we want to see. Some people say, my walls in my home, it looks like there's something in them. The other person says, well, I don't see anything. Remember, each individual has a journey that maybe they're not going to see it. Maybe it's all blocked. All blocked. They've already done this. To them, this is boring.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to see it. They don't want to open up. And that's why an atheist is an atheist. They don't want to believe it because they've already experienced it, right?
Right.
So are we reincarnated? Yes. I think it's an awesome thing. But are we reincarnated the way we think of, in simpleton words? Well, you die and you go through something and you come back. It doesn't work like that. It's a form of, hey, I'm going to get a soul contract ready. I want to experience certain things, and I want to come back and tell you about it. It's kind of like that short window of, here I am. This is what I want to go through, and I'm going to go back home now. And to me, what resonates to me is this. When I look at pictures of the 1800s homes, these white Victorian homes with the fence around, I feel like I belong there because I was there.
Okay.
I'm part of that segment of time. And you ever go somewhere where you feel like, it's not deja vu, but you feel like this is me.
Yeah.
This is me.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I can go to a modern $1 million home. I can go to a $100 million home. It doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
Now to other people, like, wow, yay, nice, this, that. To me, an old soul, it's nice. It is nice. But guess what? I'll take the old farmhouse. That's me. I still vibrate with that. Versus your multi-billion-dollar. It doesn't do nothing for me.
Right.
The old farmhouse does something to me. It resonates with my soul. I can feel it. One thing I want to say is that because your life is short, go where your soul is telling you to go, because that's where your soul is going to resonate the most energy. Don't be in the same staggering place that you feel like, well, I have to be here because of all the variable reasons of finances and this. Don't do it. If you feel like your soul's saying go down south or go further west or whatever it is, go. And I'll tell you what, and I'll promise you this, you'll have a more prosperous life. It's the getting out of your own zone and get out of your own way and get out of your comfort zone and follow what your soul's telling you.
Yeah.
The same with I interview millionaires and billionaires, they say, get the hell out of there. Go where your soul wants. Go feel that vibration, because that vibration is going to make you resonate. And it's going to bring you things that you never thought you could have. And if you stay in the same old staggering place, and if your soul wants that, that's fine. But if that other part of you, that inner part, that little intuition saying, I want to go there, go.
Be like your spirit team or your higher self or whatever are nudging you, trying to help you along as well. Would you say?
Yes. And when I do readings, I tell people, don't listen to the mind. The mind is deceptive. It'll give you false information most of the time. Listen to your heart.
Aww.
Feel vibration through your heart.
Oh,
I love that.
yeah.
That's the true answer.
That's such a
I feel like
powerful
he just
message.
answered your question, Justin, but you should still ask your famous
Yeah, I was
question.
about to actually. Philip, what is your greatest hope for the future of humanity?
Greatest hope is never give up, hope, believe, trust, have faith in yourself. And remember, you came in alone, you're going to go home alone. And as far as humanity as a whole, that form of collective consciousness, we never lose touch. So you'll never lose the feeling of, I won't see that person again. I promise you. No matter who's crossed over, we're connected. We're all energy, and you will see them again in their best form. And you will be in your best form. But guess what the best form is? I don't have a heart problem. I don't have a medical problem. I don't have a sickness. Now I'm in the purest form of me, and I can enjoy me with you.
Beautiful.
Beautiful
Thank you
answer.
so much. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing all your wisdom and your experiences with us, Philip. I really appreciate you spending your time with us this evening.
Yes.
I'm excited for our audience to hear these messages these messages from you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.
All of you were great. Now, really quick,
Uh-huh.
I ain't doing any psychic readings, but I will say that since the beginning of the show, someone's grandparent is coming through somewhere, because since the show started, someone's got that old radio. And when I had said about tuning in, they're making fun of me because they're scanning through that old radio. It's like one of those 60s radios. It's like wooden, and they're just scanning through it, going through the stations. Like, well, we're limited here, but Phil, I keep hearing it. So I don't know why, but someone's coming through there. Someone's making connections there. So I don't know who it is. You'll get the message through a dream state.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Glad you put that out there now.
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you.
It automatically made me think of my grandfather, but I don't know. It could be for any one of us.
Yeah.
Both of my grandparents, my grandmothers are on the other side, and I connect with them a lot. So I'm hoping that it's one of mine.
Awesome.
Just one more thing before I go.
Yes.
And once somebody did show me this farm. Now, again, it's not me. I don't try to. It's just like it comes through like a form of. When I show, sometimes they'll come through. So one of them will show me like they're on the farm. They're working on the farm. And again, I'm not trying to like say who I'm talking to, but they're a farmer. They show me their time. They were a farmer. They were a hardcore worker. They had strong arms. That's what they're showing me.
That's
So,
right, Grandpa.
Wow. That's
Talking about now,
probably
like
my
right
grandpa.
now? Wow.
His grandfather was
He
a
was a
corn
farmer?
farmer.
Yeah.
Corn farmer.
Yeah. In Iowa.
And he just recently passed
whole
away,
family
too.
farm. You know, he had,
How many acres? Like hundreds, right?
yeah, he had over 800 acres.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Big time
Wow.
farmer.
This man showed me his arms. Like his forearms were like very muscle back in his day. Like
Oh, wow.
he had
Okay.
strength, man, you know?
Wow.
He was like, he would take it on. And so he's showing me this. It's not me. Like,
Okay.
these are things that happen. They come through.
Sure.
So-
Yeah,
Sure.
thank you for sharing
Thank you.
that. Wow.
Yeah.
What
What?
was your grandfather's name?
Robert King.
Robert King?
King. Yeah.
I looked up because I had a flash come through.
Oh, wow.
Robert- yeah.
Yeah.
Remember this. First of all, I want to say that each and every one of you are awesome. Thank you for having
Thank
me
you.
on. I feel
Absolutely.
like you're all doing a great thing
Thank you.
and in a great place, and keep it up. And the other thing is never give up, believe, trust in yourself, because you are the journey and the existence.
Mm-hmm.
Push the message forward to help others. And with that said, hey,
I
have a
love
great
that.
Thank you guys so much. And for our audience that's still sticking around, please do us a favor and smash that like button, click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. Much love,
Much love.
peace, and namaste.